A lot of you guys treat your creative strategy like a coin flip. And what I mean by that is the performance of your creative strategy and eCom brand runs purely just on luck. When you're trying to do creative strategy, you're trying to find winning formats for your ads instead of focusing on fixing your message. You ask yourself, what format should I do? VSLs, UGC? Should I just spam static ads? Can I scale with only static ads? When in reality, that's not even the real issue. The real issue is that your messaging is weak, and on top of that, you're making ads that look good to you instead of what your customer actually wants to watch. So you make ads that you think is better, but yet you can't get any renewal winning ad, and it's been months since your eCom brand has actually started growing. That's why a lot of your ads get crushed by competitors. Although you think it's better, your competitors' ads still crush you. Meanwhile, the brands I know who are still actively scaling, they completely flip how they approach their creative testing. And after this new Andromeda update, it's still working even better. In this video, I'm going to break down the biggest creative strategy mistakes you're probably making right now and what to do instead, so you can finally stop relying on luck and hoping and praying that your new creative works, and instead understanding why things work and what you can do about it to scale predictably. The creative strategy mistakes that are keeping you stuck. Most of you guys are making one, if not all of these mistakes. The first one of all, a very common one I always get asked is you're obsessed with format instead of messaging, asking, hey, should I do VSL or UGC or image ads? Which one? Can I scale to 100K days with just image ads alone instead of what does my customer care about? You guys are too stuck up on the formats itself, because the formats itself doesn't really matter too much, right? If you use the same different formats with the same weak message, it's still not gonna hit. Your customers don't really care about necessarily how it looks, they care if the message hits. So even if it's like super polished videos, right, some of those don't do that well compared to UGC. Sometimes it does do well. So they don't really care as long as the message hits. And to answer the first question, we've had brands scale to 100K days with multitude of formats. Image ads, VSLs, videos, UGCs, they all work when the messaging hits. I'll talk more about the messaging in the latest parts of the video. The second mistake is that you guys test too rigidly and kill potential winners too early. So this is more important now after the Andromeda update. So the traditional way people always test is they test, okay, I need to have one concept and test 3 different hooks, right? The body is all the same with 3 different hooks. Or I test 3 of the same hooks but 3 different bodies. This way everything is scientific for clean data. And the issue with that is that not all the variations make sense. Let's say if you test different hooks, the new hooks might not make sense with the same body. So in that case, it's not congruent. You're wasting potential winners. And second of all, with Andromeda, if that's all you do, you just change the hook. Depending on what you actually change, it might just not really work as well. Because if you guys are not familiar with the Andromeda update, basically if things are too similar, it basically just counts as like the same ad. There's no diversity to it, so it doesn't get much spam. So if you make just the hook and the body different, that's like a totally different ad already. So example, if you test 3 headlines, moms, dads, office workers, but you show the same image of a mom for all, the headline and the image are not congruent, obviously it's not going to do as well. It's just not effective after Andromeda. Testing for congruency, it just basically just means bigger swings. Stands out in meta and converts better. The third mistake, a very common one, is people create ads through their own lens instead of the lens of the customer. This might mean you make things that try to look too professional or too polished, right? Loading ads with direct response principles that are there for no reason. Some dude on YouTube or X told you your ads need to follow this format. It needs to have this awareness stage or whatever it is. You're just trying to jam everything in because someone told you to. So sometimes your perfect ad will lose to raw, simple content because it's not. If sometimes it can feel too robotic as well, when everything is too perfect. For example, if you look at TikTok Shop, some of the best ads are just girls yapping. But even though they're just like different formats, if you look at it compared to a VSL, which is basically a video sales letter, usually it's long form, it's really literally just the same elements of a VSL, but made from the customer's lens. It just seems organic. The result of all of these mistakes is that your new ads can't be your ripped winners. You get stuck at the same revenue. Every test feels like a coin flip. This is most of you guys here. You might be ripping from competitors on Atra, Foreplay, or Killer Data. Ad account looks at you after you rip the 100 ad for the week and nothing is working. So these are the mistakes. What happens if you don't fix it? Obviously, if you keep getting obsessed over format, asking, hey, ripping from competitors, what's their best performing formats or whatever, you're going to blame the format when it loses and you think the product is dead, but in reality, your messaging just sucks. You keep rotating through formats, hoping something sticks, although your guru tells you, hey, these are the top 10 performing formats of the month. You test all of them, nothing works. So you jump from product to product, store to store, and you're just gonna keep having the same problem when your product dies. And especially as time goes by, e-com is getting more competitive. If you just keep doing that, your performance is only keep going down and down until you won't be in the business anymore. And if you just keep testing super rigid because someone told you need clean scientific data, a hook that could have been a winner dies because the body didn't match, and this clean data tells you nothing useful. Okay, great. You can have see that these 3 creatives, one of it has a higher hook rate, but if all of them don't get spent and they don't convert, it doesn't mean anything, right? An ad with good CTR, good CPC, if it doesn't get spent, it doesn't convert. That's not a good ad either way. So it doesn't tell you a whole lot anyways. Meanwhile, competitors who test for congruency are scaling. Third one as well, if you keep creating through your lens, it means that you might have constant failures because what you think is going to work and what your customer actually thinks is going to work is very, very different, right? You keep making ads you think are going to be good based on what people tell you, based on what your current beliefs are, but they're not beliefs that are shared by your customer. Which is why ads that seems like shit, like seem like they have no direct response principles or like have no effort, will still crush you. Because you are creating what you think converts, not what they actually engage with. So we had a story where one of our brands was stuck for like 300K per month for like 6 months straight. And when we first got into like a creative strategy game, basically we just went on YouTube and find what these winning formats are. There were some people on YouTube that had like, top 5 winning ad formats for the year. So we were just trying to copy that, and initially it did work, but then we were stuck for like 6 months straight until we figured out, you know what? Instead of just that, what if we just dive deeper into our own research? We stop copying competitors. Then that same year, we scaled to 200K a day. The year after, which is last year, we scaled to an 800K a day at 300K profit. And literally, it was just insights from us doing research instead of just copying these formats. And it's very common when you're just a beginner, you don't know why things are working. So you just try to copy what people are doing. If you really want to innovate and keep growing in e-com, you'll need to figure out the fundamentals, how to actually not rely on copying. There's always like a deeper reason of why things are working behind that. So I'll try to explain a bit more after this slide. But the truth is, if you can't outperform winners because you don't understand why they worked, testing surface level stuff while missing the actual insight, which is what I just mentioned with us copying all the formats. We didn't know why the formats worked in the first place. So here's what you actually need to do, right? What actually matters? You need to get the right message, congruency, and lens from the customer. The messaging always matters more than the format, which is why a 10-second no-text video can beat your super expensive polished VSL if the message hits. The format is just the vehicle. The message is what drives the performance. The better your message aligns with the customer problems or desires, the less format matters. What we mean with this is basically, it's not how you present it necessarily, right? It's not that the super short or super long video does well. It's the things you say inside the video that matters the most. It doesn't matter if it's long or short. The question is, which format showcases the message I want to portray the best? If what you want to say is actually like a really short message, you go look at social media research, what's doing well organically, and you see that most of your audience in that age range anyways tend to like these shorter UGC style videos. Just do that instead. Whereas if you're looking at an older audience, 60 plus, where they usually Facebook, what type of videos in those niches do they usually watch? Join their Facebook groups for that niche. Turns out it's like 3 to 5 minute long infomercial style videos. Then you do that. That's how you determine what type of format you should create. The messaging itself is just whatever you find through your own research. What type of things do they care about is what the message is comprised of. The more relatable your message is, of course, the better it converts. And how it becomes relatable is by finding specific scenarios through your research that is specific daily struggles that they all go through. It can be something like, oh, I keep waking up at 3 a.m. because of cold sweats. Maybe that's a common scenario that your audience always faces, but no one else knows. You only find out through research. That's how you form your messaging. The second of it is congruency over clean testing. So this year we are less, what's the word for it? We're more chaotic in a way. We are less mechanical in the way we test, in a way where if we're testing different hooks, we will adjust the body to match each hook. If testing headlines for each avatars, we can change the image to match, which basically means, let's say we test one concept, 3 ads inside, not all of those 3 ads will just have the same body, right? If let's say we test a new hook, the body might change according to the hook. So the hook and the body is then different. In the end, it becomes more congruent, and it's basically just 3 slightly different videos completely, but they're all the same concept. So in the eyes of Meta, it stands out more. It's a new entity due to the Andromeda update. Second of all, it makes more sense to the customer, so it converts better. So each ad should be congruent from the hook to the CTA. So we did rigid testing for congruency, and our hit rate from ads increased from 8% to 20%. It's a big jump. It's not to say that we're not tracking everything we do. We still track it in a sheet, so we can do our learnings, but it's just less the mechanical approach. The third thing you need to know is that the customer's lens always matters more than yours. And the example of this is a lot of you guys you look at competitors, you think, oh, that ad is shit, I can make a better one. And then you test it out and it doesn't work. Because you try to make it better in your eyes and not your customer's eyes. What looks ugly to you, what looks trash to you, could actually be something that the customer values. So raw footage and simple messaging with organic feel could be something that stops scroll. In other cases, some niches, your niche, maybe it's polished ads. You figure this out through doing the social media research I mentioned to you. Wherever your customer is, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, look at what type of content goes viral organically there. Which is why some of the top performing ads are organic looking content with all the same VSL elements just from the customer's lens. Like these type of videos on TikTok Shop, if you look at it, it's like, it's literally just a girl yapping. It's like a face talking for like 2 to 3 minutes. But at the same time, you see this type of ads on TikTok Shop alone to a few 100,000. It's crazy. And also because the average TikTok Shop creator also knows more about customers than eCom owners who try shoving 15 direct response principles into one script, which is very true. You might think they're just like yapping, talking, right? But that's also a good thing because the way they deliver their script is super organic to the way it feels conversational, which is what your ads should ideally aspire to be. Super conversational, organic feeling. It just flows. And then she mentions very, very specific daily struggles they go through, things they've tried before that relates to the customer, which is why the messaging, congruency, and customer lens is important. Why this works is because message backed by research hits their problems, congruent ads feel natural, and organic looking formats blend into their feed. So if you want to actually execute this, lead with the message, not with the format. Instead of thinking what type of format I should put out first figure out what messaging you want to put out. Do customer research, of course. Where do you do research? As many places as possible. Any social media platform, Reddit, Google search, anywhere you can. Cold call your customers, literally anywhere possible. Second, test different messages, angles, problems instead of formats. This matters a lot more. It's not gonna be like an image ad or video ad that changes everything, right? It's how you can find different messaging and choose the format based on what your customer organically consumes. Second, test for congruency. There need to be clean data. Make sure each ad variation makes sense from hook to body to CTA. Tailor the full ad to match the angle you're testing. If testing different avatars, change the creative to match each avatar. Like I've been saying, this approach works better post Andromeda. It creates a bigger differentiation. It's a pretty easy fix to do. It's more just a mindset thing, what you need to think about. You don't need everything to be super clean, super scientific. The third of it is to create through your customer's lens, which we know, study what they watch, engage with organically, match their style. If they watch raw TikToks, make it a raw TikTok. And instead of trying to make perfect ads that are super polished, you need to make relatable ones. What happens after you do all of this? If these comments say, you want your ads to have these type of comments where people just say, I love this so much, it's so true, when you make ads that show you understand their situation better than themselves, get comments like this instead of, where's my order, bro? So new ads can be your new winners now because they're based on real insights. Testing becomes more productive, your hit rate goes up, you can build a real creative engine instead of depending on ripping or imitating what people in the space are doing. You need to find what's working for you. The reality is that the lens you see things and the lens your customers see things are totally different. So the better you align to the lens, the better your creative hit rate will be. So you need to think like your customer when you write your ads, when you create your visuals. You need to put yourself in the seat of your customer, which how you achieve that is literally just doing more research. It all comes down to that. If this video was helpful and you want even more source on the ad making process, we actually have our own internal systems and processes for our creative team, fully documented, which involves our full research and ideation modules, how we execute script writing inside our private group called Evolve. It's a private community with 500 brand owners doing anywhere from 100K per month all the way to $10 million plus per month. So far, we've helped 19 of them hit over 100K per day. And inside, we break down everything that's currently working, what's not, any new insights, and what we need to keep aware of. If that's something you're interested in, the link's down below if you want to check it out. Besides that, just remember to take action.